Monday, the 5th of October 1992, my first day as a senior registrar at the Royal London Hospital. New hospital, new team, but the same old routine. 7 o'clock ward round, 8 o'clock to the operating theatre for my first operating list. Now, I've opened the right ventricle in a redo twice in my career. The morning of Monday, the 5th of October 1992 was the first. But help arrived, and help arrived in the form of the senior lecturer in the unit, Mr. Timothy Graham. And thankfully, the patient did fine, and it may not have been a great introduction or a great way to meet Tim, but since then, Tim has very frequently been a source of great support for me and for many others in our specialty. Tim qualified from Dundee, and he was inspired to undertake cardiothoracic surgery whilst working in Nottingham with Faik Salama. Since 1993, he's been a consultant at University Hospitals of Birmingham, where he's also an honorary senior clinical lecturer at the university and is a civilian consultant cardiac surgeon to the British Army. Outside Birmingham, Tim has achieved much in his career. He's especially known for his interest and development of education. I guess very many of the surgeons in the audience will have been on the Birmingham Review course, and that, of course, was set up and run initially by Tim. He's held the chairs of the Specialist Advisory Committee in Cardiothoracic Surgery, chair of the Joint Colleges Intercollegiate Examinations Board, and is currently chair of the European Board of Cardiothoracic Surgery. For the past 2 years, Tim's been president of SCTS, and along with the research committee that we've just heard about, he's been very instrumental in setting up the multidisciplinary education courses that we run. He's worked very hard for the society, and although the waters have not always been smooth and we've not always agreed, as this meeting testifies, I think SCTS remains a very vibrant organisation. Tim's due to retire from clinical practice shortly, but his career will continue. He's just been appointed as Associate Medical Director at Birmingham. Tim, congratulations on this. Thank you for your hard work and support, and all the very best for the future.
Graham, thank you for the kind invitation. Members and guests, welcome to Birmingham and the sunshine. How rare do we say that? The title of my talk is Wither Cardiothoracic Surgery. I'd like to share my thoughts considering the current state of cardiothoracic surgery and how we should move forward, confident and resilient. I'm afraid I can't advance the next slide. There we go. Thank you. Over a year ago, on the 50th anniversary of his death, my mother-in-law bought for me a series of books regarding Winston Churchill. In retrospect, this was probably because of our similar hairstyles and body habitus, rather than any of his acclaimed qualities. In seeking inspiration and similes for today, I was able to find an abundance in the life of the man previously polled as the greatest British person of all times, Sir Winston Leonard Spencer Churchill. He was born in 1874 at Blenheim Palace. Following an undistinguished school career at Harrow, he went to military school at Sandhurst and then saw active service in India and the Sudan. As a newspaper correspondent in the Boer War, he was captured as a prisoner. He became a Conservative MP in 1900, became Home Secretary in 1910, and then First Lord of the Admiralty. In 1915, he was dismissed from this post following the failures of the Gallipoli campaign, and he then went to France to take command of an infantry battalion on the Western Front. In 1924, he then served as Chancellor of the Exchequer for 5 years. He then went into his wilderness years in the 1930s, during what should have been his productive 50s, without office in government. From the backbenches, he warned of the dangers of Germany and war. After a vote of no confidence in the administration, Churchill became Prime Minister, forming a coalition government. Then followed Churchill's great leadership and statesmanship to maintain inter-allied cooperation with America and Russia to defeat the Axis powers. Ironically, he was not to share the final triumph of World War II as Prime Minister, as in the general election of July 1945, 2 months after Germany's surrender, the war-weary British people voted the Labour Party into power under Clement Attlee, who Churchill described as a sheep in sheep's clothing. Imagine how disappointed and let down Churchill must have felt at that time. He remained an untiring leader of the opposition. In 1951, aged 77, he became Prime Minister again, resigning in 1955 due to ill health. He died in 1965 at the age of 91 and received a full state funeral with honours. Next slide, please. He had a most remarkable life with great professional highs and great lows. He knew both failure and success and created admirers, friends, and many enemies along the way. He had other great qualities. He was an innovator, largely responsible for the invention of the tank. He was an excellent painter and a great writer, winning the Nobel Prize for Literature, famously saying, "History will be kind to me, for I will write it." He also experienced great personal tragedy with the death of a young child and a dysfunctional family, and he battled with ill health as he grew older. Many of these themes of success and failure will be familiar to all surgeons during their personal and professional lives. Next slide, please. Thank you. Churchill had major qualities which characterised his greatness: a positive and combative attitude, which clearly made a big difference. Confidence that his course of actions were right, and who wishes they didn't have his wit, as this discussion with Lady Astor illustrates. But to my mind, a great quality was perseverance in purpose of action in spite of great difficulties, as these quotes illustrate. Never, never, never give up. And his greatest strength was that of resilience, to adapt to both the considerable stresses and adversities that he encountered. When you are in hell, keep going. How might these qualities of confidence, perseverance and resilience, which so defined Churchill's successful life and career, be considered from the perspective of the society in order to continue and maintain its future and success? What has been achieved in the past 4 years? We should have confidence in the next generation of surgeons and the surgical team. The education of this generation and all members of the society, the potential for innovation, and the direction of travel of the clinical audits. We should continue the beneficial joint working with the SAC. Let's consider the next generation. How many surgeons of my vintage would have achieved the A-level success that is now required to get into medical school? These are the brightest and potentially most motivated young people. We were the first specialty to introduce national selection in 2008. Following the initial bulge of ST3 applications, following reduced recruitment from 2003 to 2007, there has continued a ratio of applications to appointments of around 6-1. The number of posts has been reduced since 2013 as ST1 selection was introduced, and there continues to be an 8-1 ratio of applicants to appointees at this level. And the impression from the SAC is that these are a good, strong group of trainees, despite recruitment across the board in all surgical specialties declining for non-specialty specific reasons. So with good seeds, we need to consider the soil into which they are placed so that they can flourish and grow. Sorry, one's not working either. Previously, training has been with a large caseload exposure, with non-structured training, little feedback, often self-taught, a sink or swim approach. Now, with improved selection, there is the development of core talents, there is structured training with feedback, with ISCP education and training processes, and in early consultant practice there is support and development. SCTS, in partnership with the SAC, is contributing strongly with bespoke courses and subspecialty fellowships. The workforce planning we have undertaken is now regarded as reasonably accurate. The next generation of consultants are and will be different, working in a different environment. Matching the two is the challenge, with a key factor being the support for new consultants, with professional development courses, mentorship, fellowships, good governance for the introduction of new techniques, and better team structure and dynamics. Education. This has been transformed over the past 4 years. The SCTS Education Committee has developed a strong vision and developed quality education across all the specialty. Of particular note has been the development of curriculum-aligned courses for NTNs, with an industrial partnership potentially in excess of £1 million worth of investment, the envy of surgery in the UK and our specialty internationally. There has been continuation of the coveted NTN fellowships towards the end of surgical training, and also the development of non-NTN education. Other considerable education achievements are listed here, all this in a large part due to the work of Mike Lewis and Rajesh Shah. The Society has also benefited considerably from the philanthropy of Mr. Marion IONESCU, with whom the Education Committee and the meetings team have developed his legacy. The annual funding of the IONESCU SCTS University at the meeting, which is set to continue in perpetuity, consultant clinical fellowships, and the facilitation of the appointment of an education administrator. He has truly transformed our ability to deliver education to the surgical team now and in the future. Innovation. This is challenging within the NHS environment and has recently been the theme of the STS meeting in January, where the qualities required for innovators were considered. We have many individuals, particularly more recently appointed consultants and current trainees, who have these qualities in abundance. We anticipate that this will be led by the recently commissioned Research Committee. The Society aimed to bring together these bright individuals and industry to have a positive impact on the development of innovation, and will be taking the next step forward with this at the showcase event this evening. Please come along. We should have increasing confidence regarding our clinical audits due to the perseverance of the SCTS executive, and more recently in particular David Jenkins and Doug West. All the 3 clinical audits are becoming increasingly harmonised, with the emphasis on survival, not mortality. The congenital audit is possibly the strongest clinical audit in the world. The thoracic audit is now progressing at a pace. We've been able to achieve further understanding and clarity with the review of the statistical methodology in the adult cardiac surgery audit, and we hope to be able to remove the outlier control lines on plots for individual surgeons in the public domain in due course. Our relationship with the other audit agencies have improved, and we are having increasing influence on policy. We have worked to improve the definition of risk factors, and there is going to be a period of stable analysis from year to year. We are developing a staged approach to other outcome measures, and there are future projects such as a new blue book of 15 years of UK cardiac surgery, and also cardiac surgery in the elderly planned with NICO. The next area is resilience. This is the ability to adapt to stress and adversity. Cardiothoracic surgeons need to have this both in their personal and their professional lives. In our personal lives, we will know great periods of personal stress, such as bereavement, divorce, and illness, and other personal difficulties. We are a self-selected group of doctors, high achievers who also need to deal with death and complications in the patients that we treat and operate on. The need for this resilience has been brought into focus both for myself and the unit within which I work recently, following a CQC visit related to unit and individual outcomes released by HQIP on data up to March 2014, and the subsequent interactions between the Trust and the CQC and the media. All this during a period of family and personal ill health. As a professional society, SCTS needs to demonstrate resilience together in several areas with its members. The NHS is complex and in crisis. Yes, crisis, what crisis? Hospital budgets are in deficit of over £2 billion, targets for healthcare are being missed, and there is a major unresolved doctors' dispute. Indeed, the Department of Health may fail to balance the budget with possible consequences for our political leaders. The headlines from the recent consultant leadership course was that there was no more new money, no quick fix, and it was likely only to get worse. Donald Berwick has recently undertaken an Improving Quality in the NHS in England review, and his early conclusions were that the NHS is a highly conflicted environment, with a demoralised workforce not likely to reach its capabilities, and he questioned the ability of the NHS to continue to survive in its current form on funding of only 7% of the GDP. There may be some respite in that the Department of Health are funding a clinically led quality and efficiency programme to support the delivery of the NHS 5-year forward view, to improve efficiency and to contribute to closing the budget deficit gap in each specialty. SCTS are contributing to the appointment of a potentially important funded post in cardiothoracic surgery for this project. The other area for the need for resilience is to maintain the training environment. The junior doctors, isn't that an inappropriate term? Dispute has caused conflict between the government and the medical profession and has the potential to impact on the future of the NHS. The junior doctors and their training should be supported at this time, as they are the future of the specialty and of future patient care. And also, rather selfishly, because the consultants and then all the other sectors of the health service will be next. This training environment in our specialty, however, is not unique to the UK, with the prevalence of depression amongst residents and interns worldwide being reported at around 30% by the AATS. There are challenges for our trainees, and as a consequence, the future of the specialty, which are well known, but need to be faced up to going forward. The NHS is generally accepted to be becoming an increasingly difficult environment for doctors to work in. There are now courses being developed and run for managing doctors in difficulty and difficult doctors, which is a clear barometer for this issue. Consultant dismissals and suspensions occur, and the impression has been in our specialty that these have been increasing. Why is this, and what evidence is there that this is the case? The National Clinical Assessment Service is a body whose purpose is to achieve the resolution of concerns about professional practice. They are the body to whom trusts report and refer individual consultants. There are over 7,000 consultant surgeons in England and Wales, of which cardiothoracic surgery over the past 5 years has made up 4%. In the 6-year period from 2009 to 2015, there were 42 referrals to NCAS in relation to cardiothoracic surgical consultants. As a percentage of all the referrals for the whole of surgery, which were over 1,000, cardiothoracic surgery made up 4% of the NCAS referrals, a proportion in keeping with the number of cardiothoracic surgeons. The Professional Standards Department of the Royal College of Surgeons of England has developed an invited external review mechanism which trusts can use to obtain external advice on their services. 20 reviews have taken place in cardiothoracic surgery since 2008, with a further one proposed in 2016. These numbers from the external agencies did not seem to fit with the incidence of issues being discussed by the membership. In view of this, as President, I have undertaken a rather crude survey of cardiothoracic surgeons who have been in difficulty since 2009. There is no mandatory reporting mechanism available for this, and it is a very sensitive area. The methodology of this survey could be criticised. It has been through a series of personal conversations and discussions held at meetings, in restaurants and bars, and over the telephone. But to the best of my knowledge, I have been able to triangulate this information. There have been 10 consultant cardiothoracic surgeons dismissed, and over 55 have been suspended, had restricted practice, taken early retirement, or emigrated to another post. Over 85% of these dismissals and suspensions were in adult cardiac surgery. From 2009 to 2015, there were a possible 400 surgeons workforce in the UK, and 65 out of this possible 400, that is 15% of the potential workforce, has either been dismissed or suspended. There has been a variety of reasons for this, but surgical outcomes and the publication of surgical outcome data has been specifically cited in less than 20% of cases. Other reasons have been cited in more than 80%, but stress in the NHS environment is clearly a major factor. So there appears to be a considerable disconnect between the external agency's data and activity and our experience within the specialty. In view of this, the Board of Representatives meeting in December 2015 focused on wider professional issues and behaviours. There was a series of presentations, and the take-home message was that even though external data could not confirm that this was more of a problem in cardiothoracic surgery than in other specialties, that as a specialty we needed to look in the mirror. With this in mind, the Society are developing a strategy considering professional behaviours, and one of the first parts of this has been to commission a professional standards committee. During this year, SCTS plan to further engage with external agencies, including Action for Victims of Medical Accidents, NCAS, the Royal College of Surgeons of England, Professional Standards Group, and 360-degree feedback providers. In short, we need to develop professional resilience within the Society and support all the members. Before you consider that this direction of travel may not be appropriate for the Society, consider examples of unprofessional behaviour that we may all be guilty of and that we may have observed in our surgical colleagues. Sadly, this list is not exhaustive. I would like to leave you with two final thoughts. A question I've been asked on several occasions is, what are the benefits of membership of STS and what does one get for the membership fee? Clearly, I could talk about the annual general meeting, the universities, the excellent educational package, the developing website, and even the expenses and sandwiches at the boards meeting, which are improving. However, I would like you to consider this in a different light. SCTS really provides the only concerted voice in our specialty for advocacy and lobbying on cardiothoracic surgical issues in the UK and Ireland. And to paraphrase President Kennedy, ask not what the SCTS can do for you, but what you can do for the SCTS. This is your specialty and your society. We have an excellent example of this in that we now have over 130 consultant surgeons who are education faculty members. Please continue this engagement and involvement. My second point is a more philosophical one and possibly contentious. It's about SCTS and its membership. Currently, our strapline is as the Society for Cardiothoracic Surgery in Great Britain and Ireland. I was recently impressed at the STS meeting when it was clear to me that their mission was to enhance the ability of their members, including cardiothoracic surgeons, to provide the highest quality patient care through education, research and advocacy. And although these are the same core values as STS, to me this represented a move towards acknowledging the STS as a membership organisation, principally funded by membership subscriptions. Possibly SCTS should consider returning more towards back towards this ethos. And so in conclusion, back to Churchill. SCTS and its members should be confident and see the opportunity in the difficulties of our specialty and environment. There will always be patients who require our care and consideration. And also to persevere and be resilient, to keep a sense of purpose and not be distracted by the difficulties we will inevitably encounter, both professionally and personally. It has been a privilege to be the President-elect and then President of the Society for the last 4 years. Thank you for electing me. It has been interesting times. I am confident that I am leaving the Society now in the capable hands of Graham Cooper and subsequently the recently appointed President-elect Richard Page, both of whom reassuringly have Yorkshire connections. Good luck to you both. And with or not cardiothoracic surgery. Thank you very much.